Usually an alert would pop up on the screen, but they're not activated, bro. I forgot to activate them on this. So if we were on here, yeah, see right there. I was on Roblox earlier, guys. But yeah, okay.
Has become
appreciate it though.
The S5, the 180SX in certain classes. People are still tuning, and these times that people were claiming as world records are probably not.
First of all, Roblox is amazing. Somebody get them up to speed, man. Roblox is one of the best games you can have on PS5. Easily. But I play it when I'm either chilling or when I am making a YouTube video and I'm waiting for it to render. I'll just play Roblox.
In my opinion. But speaking of the community and competition, I'm just gonna throw it out there. What is your overall thought of how this community is as a whole? If you could.
What will happen? Oh, hold on. That's a juicy question. Hold on. We gotta back up. Okay. Wondering what happens with Need for Speed. I wanted to make a video on this, but I just feel like I've milked it so hard, like with just, Need for Speed and what's going to happen, that I just don't want to make another one. But I think that next year we will have a teaser trailer for Unbound. For the next Need for Speed. We will have a teaser trailer. So in 2026, we will have a teaser trailer, and then a gameplay trailer or reveal trailer will come out the next year. And then after that, that's when we will have the game drop. That, in my opinion, that's what I think is going to happen. Battlefield 6 is already a success, and it's only been out for just testing and for open beta and stuff like that, right? So Battlefield 6 is going to be a success. I know that for a fact. After that game drops, I think that they're not going to remaster anything. They're not going to remake anything. They're going to just make a new Need for Speed game, and that's going to be it for a little while. I don't think it will drop. I don't think it'll drop next year. I think that it will drop probably a year and a half from now. That's what I think will happen. And all the stuff that's in Unbound is going to be ported over. Like, they're going to just micro drifting, burst, all that sort of stuff is going to be ported over to the next game. I don't think the next game is going to be old gen. It's going to stay current gen. I think they're going to keep doing that. And that all the stuff that we were giving them as feedback should be in the next game off rip. Day one, every single car should have Kaizen handling. Kaizen handling should be the standard. That's how it should have been in Unbound, bro. Kaizen handling should have been the standard for every single car in the game. It should not have been something that's brand new that made cars better than all the other cars in the game. It made every other car in the game basically obsolete because of the handling. The new drift handling should have been standard, bro. There's no reason why that they would put drift events in this game and then you can't even drift properly in the drift events. That doesn't even make sense. Cops should have been standard day one. Now, lockdown, hot pursuit, drift and drag. Drift and drag should have been in the game day one. But lockdown and hot pursuit, those could have been added later. So they did good on those. Those could have been added later because at the end of the day, they want you to play the main game first before you start branching out and doing other things, right? So it wouldn't have made sense for them to have lockdown and all that sort of stuff from day one. Because now you're like, it's taking people away from the story. It's taking people away from the multiplayer, right? So I think that like adding PvP, all that sort of stuff, I think that the next game should not have that stuff off rip. It should have PvP off rip, but it should not have lockdown available off rip. It should not have hot pursuit off rip. It shouldn't have any of that sort of stuff. That stuff can be added maybe like in a month for sure. Or it can be locked until you get to a certain level. And then after that, you can hop in those. But they want you like multiplayer, bro. They want you to focus on multiplayer. Everybody's mad at the Unbound story. To be honest, it's not going to get better. I don't think it's going to get better. I think they're going to take resources from the single player and keep putting them towards multiplayer because that's where the money is. Everybody knows, we all know that EA likes money. That like straight up, they love money, and that's what they're gonna go for, right? That's what they're gonna put their effort into. So I don't think the story's gonna get better, bro. It's probably gonna be some bland story, or it's gonna have some characters and they're gonna be weird and cringy and all that, because y'all have to understand that EA is no longer catering towards anybody that's 20 and above. 100%. They are catering towards young teens, preteens, young teens, and anybody that's below the age of 16. That's who they're catering towards. If you look at the Unbound story, they speak in TikTok language. They speak in no accountability. They don't want to have accountability for their stuff. They talk very cringe, all that sort of stuff. Everything is super colorful. They have agendas pushed in there. They have everything. Everything that is happening current day, that is what's going to happen in the next Need for Speed. We're never going back to Rockport, bro. We're never going back to Razor. We're never going back. Even stuff like Heat, I would say that they're never going to go back to something as gritty and as dark as Heat, bro. Never. Because that's not what the target audience is anymore. And to be honest, we should have known from day one that they were switching up the music when they had straight rap whenever you went into the nighttime mode in Heat. That should have been our key right there. When they started putting Kendrick Lamar, Cardi B, Post Malone, French Montana, all of them, when they started putting that in Need for Speed, that should have been the key right there, that we're not going back to anything else. So the next Need for Speed, bro, I wouldn't like, and you know what? I may be saying something controversial here. I would not be surprised if our character in the next Need for Speed is either, I wouldn't be surprised if the story pushes an agenda. I would not be surprised at all. At all. I wouldn't be surprised if it pushes a movement or anything, because that's how the world is right now. Simple as that. I would even go to say that, shoot, I mean, because they got main characters and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if our main character is either like super right, super left with the government, gay, bi. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't, because that's just how it is now. And then the story's probably going to be cringe. There's probably going to be a bunch of colors. All that sort of stuff. What do you think Need for Speed would lose customers if they did that? No. I don't think they would, because at the end of the day, EA realizes that there is a certain amount of people that will buy the game regardless. And that's what they're trying to figure out. In my opinion, that's what that's what EA is trying to figure out right now. They're trying to see what they can do in the game, what they can change, but still have people buy the game regardless, because it's called Need for Speed. And once they realize the amount of people that will buy the game regardless of what they do, that's when you're going to see the game go downhill, bro. That's why Call of Duty is the way that it is right now. Because Activision realized a long time ago that they could do whatever. They can drop whatever, and it's still going to sell, because people will buy something that says Call of Duty on the title. If you look at older Call of Duty games and Modern Warfare or Black Ops 6 now, it's night and day. It's night and day. How? Because Black Ops 2, right, had everything. The only thing that you were paying for off rip is like skins and stuff like that in Black Ops 2, right? But now nowadays, you're buying everything. They drip feed content, you're buying season passes, all that sort of stuff. They don't even have a lot of the maps coming into the game off rip from day one. So I think that once EA realizes that they can just drop whatever and people will buy it and they can make enough money to break even or go a little bit above, that's what they're going to do. So, and you know what? People say that, they'll never get rid of single player, all that sort of stuff. Single player is the first to go. 100%. Single player will be the first thing to go. Because if they know that people will buy their game regardless, why would they put more time and effort into making a story. Why would they do that? It wouldn't make sense, right? They're just wasting time and effort. The point of a company, right? And I told Fom this. Fom doesn't want to listen, but I told Fom this multiple times. The point of a company is to make something with the least amount of money, least amount of time, and least amount of effort as possible while making the most amount of money as possible. That is the point of a company. That is the point of a business. So when they realize that they can just basically do the bare minimum and still get as much money as possible, best believe that's what they're going to do, because money runs the company. Money is the number one priority. Yes, they consider what you guys want, but they only consider what you guys want because you guys have a stake in the company, independent, and you guys make the company money. That is the reason why they care. If they did not, that's why I keep going back to like them realizing or them eventually getting to a point where they could just do the bare minimum and just still get that money. When they realize that, a lot of stuff is leaving. Single player is the first thing to go, easily. Single player, because single player makes no money. Multiplayer makes money in games. Single player, yes, you can buy DLC and stuff like that, but that's not what they rely on. So it makes them a little bit of money, but multiplayer is the money maker because you can have season passes, you can have drip feed content, and they rely on people, they rely on advertisement that you do, right? So let's say, for instance, that there is, let's say, for instance, the R8, right? The R8, or you know what? So let's say if the R8 was available in the premium speed pass, and then everybody who bought the premium speed pass would get the R8, right? And when you drive the R8, you're beating everybody. Now, in multiplayer, keep in mind, there are multiple people, right, across the world that you're playing with. So they're going to see that you have the R8 and you're consistently beating everybody. So now what are they going to do? Now they're going to want to buy the R8. They buy the R8 and now they start beating people who don't have the R8. Now those people are going to buy the R8. That's how multiplayer makes money, right? On top of DLC, on top of skins, on top of new cars. That's what they are counting on. So that's why they're not going to put that's why they're not going to keep dropping DLC for single player. There's no money in single player. Multiplayer is consistently bringing in the money. It's bringing in the dough. Yes, if they carried over to multiplayer, it would be worth it. But I don't think they're ever going to do that again, bro. I don't think, exactly, Faulty, exactly. Because they want people to buy the stuff and then they nerf them a little bit later. That way, it's a revolving door. They drop something crazy, everybody buys it, they nerf it, they drop something crazy that's better than the thing that they dropped previously. People buy it, nerf it, and they drop something else. It just keeps on going. It just keeps on going. I told y'all, bro, like EA is wicked. Like I'm trying to tell y'all boys, EA does not care. EA does not care. The only reason why we got what we got in Unbound is because Unbound was able to make money, bro. Like that's why. That's why we had the premium speed pass. If y'all didn't know, they had to put that in the game to make money for them to continue with the content easily. Like that is why. If you're not making money, EA does not care. It doesn't care at all. Why do y'all think that they took resources from Need for Speed and put it in Battlefield? Because Battlefield is one of their biggest money makers besides the sports games. That's why they always keep dropping stuff for sports games, FIFA, Madden, Battlefield. That's why they keep doing that, because it makes them money consistently throughout the year. That's why. If Need for Speed made as much money as Madden did every single year, we would have a new Need for Speed every year. Guaranteed. No questions asked. We would have a new Need for Speed every year. And up until that new Need for Speed, we would have consistent updates. Consistent updates. Every single month, if not weekly. Midnight Club. Yeah, I know about that, Fom. Yeah, there was a whole thing about that. I don't think, you know what, Midnight Club, bro? I don't think Midnight Club would work in today's day and age. I don't. I think that it would sell initially well because, you know, everybody that played the older games would buy it, right? But I don't think it would work with any of the newer players. I don't think it would. Because Need for Speed has just been around for too long. Like, because you have to understand, right? That's what a lot of new people know. They know Need for Speed. They don't know Midnight Club. So when you don't know something, the sales go down because you're not used to it. It's not familiar. Because you have to think about it, right? A lot of these younger kids don't have expendable income. So when they see a new game, what do first? IGN. They look at IGN. They look at Game Ranks. They look at all those people that do reviews on the game, right? Because they don't want to spend money on something and use their parents' credit card on something and the game sucks. But if a new Need for Speed drops and they've been playing Need for Speed for years, they're going to buy that over Midnight Club. 100%. On top of that, Rockstar is making too much money with GTA to even start doing Midnight Club again. GTA makes too much money. It makes way too much money. Nah, you didn't miss anything, Jordy. We're just breaking down a few topics right now. We'll get back to the podcast in a second. I'm just talking about Midnight Club. I don't think that Midnight Club would work in this day and age. It's the same thing with Saints Row, bro. If y'all remember, they dropped a new Saints Row and it didn't sell well because everybody knows GTA. All the newer people know GTA. On top of the game not even being that good for Saints Row. With the reboot, nobody knows what Saints Row is. All these younger people don't know what that game is at all. Unless they make Midnight Club free, bro, then I don't think it will sell. I don't think it will. I don't think so. Yeah, Saints Row didn't sell for many reasons, of course. But what I'm saying is a lot of new people, like Saints Row, that reboot was trash. It was terrible. I think I actually have it. I have Saints Row. I've never played it, but I have it. And what they did to the game, they butchered the game, bro. They butchered it. But I would say something that contributed towards that was that it's just unfamiliar, bro. They rebooted something. They rebooted a series that only the older people knew of. So now it's like, first of all, Prodigy, Saints Row the Third was amazing. I don't know what you're talking about. Saints Row 3 was peak. So, yo, I don't know what you're talking about. Saints Row 3 was peak. And then Saints Row 4 is the one with the alien, right? With the aliens. And they blew up the Earth. Saints Row 4 was pretty good too. Where you had the powers and everything, the simulation. I mean, like, I never played Gat Out of Hell. But I heard that was a really good DLC as well. I never played it, unfortunately. Saints Row 4, they tried to do too much. Like powers, bro, we didn't need no powers. We were pretty much invincible anyway. They were jumping out of helicopters and planes in Saints Row 3. They were jumping off skyscrapers. We didn't need no powers, bro. Oh my goodness. Okay.